Crisscross, pulling floss, needle thread from black to red, pink, navy green, and in between, snuggles my brain. I'm Stitch Me Sane, and welcome to my Flosstube channel.
Hello, my name's Carla. Welcome to my Flosstube channel, Stitch Me Sane. Today is Thursday the 26th of April here in Melbourne, Australia, and this is Flosstube number 10. I am really excited to be back. It is not quite 3 weeks since I last saw you all. Welcome to any new subscribers and welcome to all returning viewers to my channel. You will also find me on Instagram at Stitch Me Sane and TikTok at Stitch Me Sane. So this is a channel where I talk about my love of cross stitching, and today I'm going to give you an update on what I have been working on since I last saw you, with some plans for May that have become really exciting and I must say a little out of control, but that's the nature of mania, right? So I guess we'll get stuck straight into what I have been working on. I did see you in early April and it was just around Easter time. School holidays were kicking off and I probably haven't done as much stitching as I usually have, but certainly I have 10 pieces to show you today. So I'm going to just shout out a few people that have shouted me out first. Thank you to Sarah at I Swear I Am Stitching here on Flosstube, Alyssa Crafting in Colorado, and Lost in Stitches, Lisa, we're playing tag over there. Thank you so much for shouting out my channel. This community it's what it's all about. It's sharing what we all love, what we, think about all the time. So thank you to each of you. I really appreciate those mentions. And I'm sure you've brought some traffic to my channel, as I hope I do yours. Okay, let's get stuck into the stitching. So the first piece I worked on is, just moving my notes to the side. I always have my notes, which is why I look down a little as well. And I like to keep things in order so that I sort of reset every floss tube, if you like. And it gives me a good idea as to where I've been and where I'm going with my stitching for the next couple of weeks before we see each other again. So one of the originals, this is what it looks like. It is Chicago by GeckoRouge. It's a kit that I started back in 2019 or maybe even early 2020. It's on 18 count Aida. I'm stitching at 2/1, so it is quite old now. It's a paper chart. This is where I was at last time you saw it. I hope I can find a pic actually because it's been some time. And excitedly, this is where I'm at now, which is not a whole load of progress. It's only 230 stitches that I've added since, I don't know really if it's since you last saw me actually, because I think I've worked on it quite a bit since then. But regardless, this is where it's at now, and I really love this piece. It is so bright and colourful. And I've been working on the river. So there's a lot of blue on the sky and the river. I have only hit actually one border at this stage, which is down the very bottom of the river there. The colors on the buildings are just so fun to work with. And I really like GeckoRouge kits. They provide ample amount of thread, in my opinion. We'll see how we go as we progress, but I'm fairly certain I'm going to have a lot of thread, which is nice because I am a confetti stitcher. Look at those trees and those buildings. Really love this piece. There's a bit of a story to it. So you can no longer find this piece at GeckoRouge. Look at that when I step back a little bit. And Unconventional cross stitch, Jody over there has actually started charting Heather Geller, who's the artist of this piece, which is really exciting. Congratulations, Jody, because these pieces are amazing to stitch. So if you're interested in stitching a Heather Geller artwork, go check out Unconventional Cross Stitch. She's also an Australian cross stitch designer, which is nice to be able to shout out a fellow Aussie. So that's Chicago. And as I said, I was working on the river, so basically just these blocks down here I sort of have been putting in with a bit more of the outline of that dark blue, or that sort of more royal blue outline in the river there. As you can see, I've still got quite a few ninja stitches, which is becoming a bit of a thing of mine, and I'd like to try and clean that up because I think I'm actually working on every single page of this chart, but I'm yet to finish one. So even the centerpiece, the center chart there, where most of the buildings are actually complete, would be really nice. So 18 count, 2 over 1, and I estimate I'm probably at about 45%, maybe 50, but certainly a long way to go yet, although it does look really fantastic already, I think. Okay, so that's Chicago and the first piece that I have worked on thus far. Next we have, this is a really fun one. If you want to see my collection of Olga Gostin DMC Australian Heritage Architecture cross-stitch kits, that's quite a mouthful. I did show them all in my last episode, so Flosstube number 9. And this is a cell that I'm working on with at Stitch Brat on Instagram, Barbara over there. And we are having so much fun with this cell. I'll pop the hashtag up here because we're going to be at it for a while. I've got multiple charts. I know other stitchers in the cell also have multiple charts, including Barb herself. Come and have a look at it on Instagram. So this is the piece that I'm stitching. This is the Queen Anne. And for those of you in Melbourne, it really reminds me of a house that you might find, for example, in Kew, over there at Hawthorne, Camberwell sort of area. And look at that fence and the detail. There's actually 41 colours, or maybe 42 colours in this. And I'm stitching it on an 18 count Aida 2 over 1. Which is not actually the kit because I only got the chart for this particular one in my collection. So there's a few that I've got kits for and a few that I've got charts only for. So I've kitted this one up myself and just found a piece of 18 count Aida. It's just white. This is where I was at last time you saw it. And this is where I'm at now. I have put in 452 stitches. I do tend to try and count my paper charts as well if I can. And this is where I'm at now. So as you can see, this window now has sort of like a roof come in on it. Oh, that lighting's good. Bring it in there. Try and get it a bit neater. That's the difficulty, isn't it? Yeah, that's better. Okay. So yeah, I'm really liking the brickwork is taking shape here. And I made a joke on Instagram and it's like 20 shades of terracotta because it really is, but it's really having the right effect, as you can see. Those turrets up there are starting to come in, and there's a lot of half stitches in this piece, so it's taking me some time. The sky is also a half stitch, but if you can see quite clearly to get the outline now of the roof and things coming in, there's a lot of half stitches there. And I've already come down to some of the bush, some of the garden down here. So I definitely want to keep working on this piece. The cell's really fun. There's so many different sort of styles of houses, and people are making fantastic progress. So thank you to you all so far for joining in. And as I said, if you want to jump on board, I'm certainly going to be stitching my houses for some time. So please do. It's really motivating, I find, to have a bit of a stitch along going on. So that's my piece number 2. Oh, now, whilst I probably don't have a lot of progress on some, I have 3 pieces that I got over 1,000 stitches on since I last saw you, which for me is something. I'm really quite pleased when I get 1,000 stitches in a short period of time on any one of my whips. So this is one of them that I'm going to show you today that has had that amount of progress. And it is Carrot Cake by Carolyn Manning. I've been showing it quite a lot on Instagram recently as well. I am really trying to move on this one. I started it as a stitch along with Stitch Brat. for her birthday, and it was birthday dessert sale. The Bishu Stitch on Instagram has actually just posted her progress on Panna Cotta, which is a pink version, because you could choose at the time one of the dessert ranges in the Shooting Star collection. So this is what Carrot Cake is going to look like when it's finished. And I do have a pic of where it was last time you saw me, only a couple of weeks ago, and since then I've put in 1,333 stitches, which I'm very pleased at, because it's taken me to 41% on this piece in total, so that's pretty exciting. And this is where I'm at now. So I now have another corner, and I am coming into another corner. Again, I was working towards the 4 points and then bringing up the corner and the border. Look at it now. I'm so very, very pleased with this one. It's on an 18 count 2/1 Rustico Aider. I was actually saying to Barb that I really, really like all of my Carolyn Mannings to be on an Aider. I love the 2/1 look for a Carolyn Manning design. They're bright, they're colourful, and it gives that real deep sort of plush, lush, you know, look and feel to how a cross stitch sort of design of this style for me personally sort of looks and feels. So I'm really pleased with how this is taking shape. And if you've watched any of my previous videos, you know I love a Carolyn Manning, and we'll get to plans soon, and I have big Carolyn Manning plans coming. So yeah, stay tuned if you're interested in hearing what's taking shape in my Carolyn Manning whip world. So that's Carrot Cake, and I'm really pleased with that. So that's actually the piece that I made the most progress on since my last Flosstube. I hope that continues, actually, again, for when I see you next. I've put that to you now. I have to hold myself accountable. The beauty of Flosstube. All right, next is the other Carolyn Manning that I have been working on, and it's my travel piece. Everybody will be familiar with it if you have been watching along, and it is Unicorn. This is what it's going to look like when it is finished, and I am stitching it as 4 separate pieces. I actually showed all 4 of them last Flosstube, so if you're interested in seeing how each of them are progressing, jump on over to Flosstube number 9 and check that out. Otherwise, I only really show the one that I'm working on at any given time. And this is where I was at last time you saw this one, which is really handy because I showed them all. I haven't made a whole load of progress, only 254 stitches, but every stitch counts on this piece, and I'm seriously pulling in really steadily the target finish date, and it's sort of sitting around 2025 at the moment. And I know that sounds a long way off, but I only work on this piece when I'm outside of my home, so I think that's pretty cool. And I'm now at 38.41%, and I'm stitching it on a 20 count Aider 2/1. As I just said, I love my Carolyn Mannings on an Aider. I actually have 14, 18 and 20 count, and I think they all look fantastic. So, you know, whatever. I also find them helpful. Like, this was just scraps that I had. Obviously, look at the size of the piece off another really big full coverage piece that I was using 20 count for. So I find that really useful as well with the Carolyn Manning designs. They're easy to just sort of grab a piece of fabric from your stash, because they're usually, you know, quite reasonably sized designs. And whilst they're full coverage, the stitch counts are, again, you know, easily reachable in a short period of time if stretching them over years like I do is not your thing. So that's Unicorn. And I just kind of worked a little bit with this green here. Bring that in a bit closer for you. And I think I did this diamond up here, if I recall, because I had a bit of trouble with it. But yeah, school holidays are over now, and I generally work on this piece at swimming lessons and basketball training. So it will get a bit more regular love again. So they're my 2 Carolyn Mannings that I have been working on. And the next one I want to show you, I really have been enjoying. I started it quite recently and did show you the start last time. This is one of my 1,000 pieces. And since I saw you, I have put in 1,252 stitches. It is the Big Pig. It's a Heaven and Earth design. And before I actually keep going with this piece, as the title of this Flosstube suggests, I have worked on 5 of my 6 Heaven and Earth design pieces. I know, I'm really happy with that. I was hoping to have worked on all 6 by the time I filmed again. It hasn't happened, but 5 out of 6 is pretty good. And that sort of is how the ball's gonna roll now for the rest of the videos. So if you like HAEDs, Heaven and Earth designs, very, very well known, probably the most well known internationally charting design company, I think. Keep watching. All right, so this is the Big Pig. I started on a 28 count 1/1 white linen. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. It's big, 250,000 stitches, I think, or thereabouts. And this is where I was at when I, showed you when I first started. I hadn't put it much in. I think it was like 100 or so odd stitches. And now I'm at 0.48%. And here is what it looks like now. I'm so very pleased. You can see the bookshelf starting. So usually I go for a center start, but I'm actually stitching this one for my partner Dylan. And I asked him where he would like me to start. And he said the center top. So that's where I started. And there's the bookshelves coming in there. Look at those teeny tiny stitches on the 28 count. I hope that you're seeing them pretty well there. There's a lot of colors already in this piece. I'm really pleased with it. This needle minder is an unconventional cross stitch needle minder. And let me tell you, I don't usually store my needles on the front of them because they often sort of wiggle off, if anyone else finds that. These ones are really tough. So Jodie, I love this needle minder. Look at that. The pig is actually going to come in here already, so it's not far off, and I can see why Dylan picked that to start. It's going to be so good. Honestly, I probably won't get a chance to work on this again during May. So, anyway. Okay. So that's the first of my HAEDs I want to show you. Now, if you've watched me before, I'm launching into my Wallod Women section. So I have a hashtag, which I'll put up here, Stitch Me Saying Wow. If you want to join me because you're stitching a beautiful, big, powerful, inspiring female face, join me. I have a vision of a wall of these images, and the artwork that is being charted at the moment out there by some of these companies is just incredible. So I know that there's a lot of people out there. Actually, Alyssa from eCrafting in Colorado, you are one of them. I watched your Flosstube recently. I will get to another piece that you have enabled and inspired me to start. But I would like to mention at this point that I loved hearing your interpretation of my wall and your wall, and I just can't wait and hope to see some of those beautiful charts that you showed, in particular Genevieve from the sewing shop, Kaylee 10 Stitch. I like that piece, and I've seen a few people start that piece, I think, and yeah, I would be enabled, just saying. Anyway, so back to where I was going was this section now is my Wallod Women section, and I've got 5 to show you that I've been working on. And the first one was actually the Wheel of Stitches challenge that I do every month with at Angie Slowly Crafts and Adventures of Stitching, Alicia. They're both here on Flosstube. Go have a look at their videos. I love both of them and watch them religiously. Anyway, so every month we choose each other's piece after we spin our goal wheel of stitches. And for the month of March, I chose, what am I talking about? It's the month of April. So for the month of April, I got 1K on my wheel. And Alicia chose Yes, which is the next piece that I'm going to show you. And it's another Heaven and Earth Designs. and I'm stitching this on 25 count 1/1. This is what it's going to look like. I love it. And not only did I stitch the 1K, Alicia, but I actually stitched 1,261 stitches because I was enjoying it so much. I love the colors in this piece. And I basically worked on a lot of ninja stitches. As I said, I'm notorious for just leaving ninja stitches in my wake when I stitch. But on this occasion, I tried to dedicate a lot of that to filling in some gaps. And this is where it was at last time you saw her. And I'm really, really pleased. So this is where we're at now. As you can see, her face has really come in now. Oh, she looks really good. Yeah. And the box and the shoes and that scarf. Oh my goodness, I've had so much fun with that scarf. It's pinks, mauves, purples, there's yellows. Every color that I really love working with is in that scarf. So good. Her hair is really starting to get that shading in the fringe. And I've got the outline now of her ear taking shape. It's hard to show you without sort of, with her earring. You can see her earring there now. Yeah, I really need to fill in the rest of that sort of blue. That would bring it in nicely, but look at that. I really love this piece. And you can even see the pig's face starting to take shape. So really pleased. This piece is now at 11.93% complete. And I'm actually tracking not too bad in terms of time and target date. I've been at it for over a year now. Love it. So thank you, Alicia, for that choice of my Willow stitches. I've really, really enjoyed that one this month. And I will get to the May spins because we've already decided those at the end of this video when I'm talking about May plans. Okay, so the next piece for my Wall of Women, Stitch Me Saying Wow, was Paradise Found, and Angie selected this piece, so I had to do 1K on this piece as well. And so far I've only actually done close to 600. So 3.19% complete, this is what it's going to look like. And I have spoken about the nature of this chart on a number of occasions where there's so much going on. And when I'm stitching on it, it's at the moment, I've got a lot of those browns. And it just feels like nothing is happening. And then I step back and I have a look and I'm like, wow, there's a flower. This is where I was at last time I showed you, because I did show you last time. This is a 25 count, 1/1, Paradise Found. The artwork is Janelle Nickel, who's a Canadian artist. And I think that's partly why Angie's so fond of this piece as well. Look at where I'm at now. So you can see what I mean about all those tans and browns. I've tried to fill in a lot more of the top border now, so that's quite a lot. That's a lot more solid than last time, I believe. This one's tricky to show on camera because of the light. I think it's going to be one that, as I say, as we sort of step back and more progress, it's going to really start looking so fantastic. That lacy effect along the top's already sort of coming in. And I'm actually not too far from, the chart has like Paradise Found written on it in words down here, just under those browns. And just over here, not too far off now, is actually where her head and her hair will start, which is a solid 310. But I'm actually using the Anchor equivalent 403, which has apparently better coverage. And this is 25 count, which I find the darker colors, when you're using only one thread, the coverage can be a little odd at times when you're doing block stitches. So I thought the black would be ideal if I converted that to Anchor. I had a lot of it in my stash. So I think there's like 20 odd thousand stitches, so I thought it would be useful to use that. I keep bringing it in and out to try and get the best lighting for you. And then if I bring it right in, you can really start to see those tans and browns and the top of the border there. So I'm really pleased with how it's looking so far. I should have done that with my yes, actually. Showed you that scarf in a real up close. I had to stand up, so perhaps I was being a little lazy. Okay, Paradise Found. Next is not a Heaven and Earth Designs, but you'll be familiar with it. One of my favorites. I'm at 11.41% now, but I did only put 444 stitches in. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. I love this piece so much. I do work on it fairly regularly. And sorry, this is where I was at last time, if I have a pick. And I'm just moving all the part threads away. I did work primarily on the top. This is where we're at now. This is an unconventional cross stitch piece. I've already mentioned Jodie and her amazing skills. It's on a 25 count 1/1, and I've really worked primarily on the hat over here and a little bit of the blue background, and tried to pull in the top of this hat. Now, I cannot tell you, the pastel in this piece is wow. Let's bring it in. So the hat is pretty much solid, just light pinks, greys, purples, lavenders. It is, I hope you're seeing the same effect there. Oh, I love it. So yeah, I really hope to continue to work on this one quite regularly. And I'm going to keep trying to tackle that hat for a little while longer yet before going back to her face at this stage, because there's a lot to it. And that's on a 25 count 1/1. I'm actually using that for a sell as well. The artist is Adrian Border, and Kaylee Tent Stitch is stitching along. There's a few others. I'll put the sale up here, not border this sale. And it's been going for some time now, and there are some phenomenal pieces happening on that hashtag. Okay, my last two that I've worked on are both Heaven and Earth Designs. And they're actually pieces that I'm stitching for other people. This one is for my best friend, and she selected the piece. Here it is here, it's called Ariel. The artwork is Anna Ditman, and there's some really beautiful pieces being stitched by this artist on Instagram. This is where I was at last time you saw it, and I only touched it once when I was speaking to Vit on the phone, Victoria on the phone. I tend to work on it whenever I'm speaking to her, which is really, I find quite, I don't know, it's just cool, I like it. It's 28 count, 1/1, and that bottom white, I don't have to stitch that, it's not charted, so it's not entirely full coverage. This is where I'm at now, and you can see her eye, and her other eye is slowly coming in. So I actually worked on some purples over in this section over here, just to make it a little bit darker, for me to have more to anchor off on that side of the piece, so I can get going on some of the lighter colours. I find if you put down some darker colours to work around, they're not as difficult to work the lighter colours. So I'm pretty pleased with how that one's taking shape. Where are we? 2.14% complete. Yeah, 28 count 1/1. Really nice. A lot of purple. Purple's one of my favourite colours to stitch with, so I really do enjoy pulling this one out. It's just not one I can stitch on, I don't think, like really solidly all the time because of all the pale colours. And the 28 count, I really need good light for that. Alright, lucky last, we have Rival to Spring, which I'm actually stitching for my mum. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. This one's a really big one. I think it's over 250,000, 280, I think. And there's a lot of background. that really can't be removed because it's part of the piece. I only put in 270 stitches and I'm at 2.57%. This is where I was at last time you saw it. And I'm stitching it on a 28 count 1/1 Lugana. This is where I'm at now, and I've been working on her hair. I'm trying to pull in the shape of her face now a little bit. So as you can see, I came down here with those stitches, pop them in there. Again, I think I was trying to focus on some darker colors so that I can then sort of come back into her face with the lighter colors over this side and not lose sight of where I was at. But I have done a fair bit of this background that's quite solid without ninja stitches in there. And yeah, the lips are looking fantastic. Bring it back here a bit. And there's a lot of shading going on in the face already. But there is some solid stitching in there without ninja stitches, if you can see. I hope you can. This piece is really beautiful. Okay, so that's the last of the stitching that I have to show you. And I'm not too sure of how many of those will be back because now I'm going to launch into my plans for May. And I'm super excited. So, as I mentioned, we've already done our Wheel of Stitches spins ready for May. If I finish Paradise Found early, I think I might kick off on one of them because one of them is going to be a mighty challenge. Angie has selected Farewell to Anger, which in fact is the only HAED that I didn't work on out of my 6 that I've showed you today. So that worked really well. And it kind of just blends in with where I was headed. So thank you, Angie. The challenge is it's 1%. And this piece is over 250,000 stitches. And it is max color, 238 colors. So it is going to be very achievable, but something that I will need to continue to work at. So stay tuned for that piece to come back. And Alicia was a little bit more generous on her choice, and she went for Alice in Wonderland by Donna Stitch, and that's far more reasonable for a 1%, I think around 400 odd stitches. So I'm looking forward to both of those. Both of those need some love, so thank you. The other fantastic thing I'm looking forward to is Kaylee. Kaylee 10 Stitch is going to do a Maxine May challenge. I will pop the hashtag up here. I hope she continues with that particular hashtag. Post a pic at the start, post a pic at the end of May with as much progress as you can get on a Maxine Guide piece. Now, if you recall, I had started one of these pieces called Noxolo. Here's a picture of what she looks like. She's beautiful. I love her. However, I started on this fabric that I really wasn't 100% sure of what it was. And once I'd started stitching, I went with a 1 thread over 1, and it just wasn't doing it for me. So then I had this crazy idea that I would frog what I'd done, which I did, and restart it using 2 threads instead. Now since then, I've given it a little bit more thought, and I have decided that I'm going to scrap that fabric altogether, and I'm just going to restart the whole thing on the 28 count white linen that I have a number of my big full coverage pieces on, because I love that fabric. I've got a fair bit of it. Why would I not stitch something that I really want to stitch on a fabric that I love and that I have? So that's the new plan. I'm really looking forward to that. Anyone else got a Maxine Gads that needs some love? It's not a new start, it's just get progress. So jump on board. I love a lot of those pieces, so I'd love to live vicariously over May. What else? Okay, I want to get some love on some Carolyn Manning pieces, and my friend Barb, she has a lot of beautiful pieces as well. I think she might actually be the Carolyn Manning queen, and we are going to start another shooting star together because we don't have enough already. And so Grandma's Lilacs. This is what it looks like. I love purple. I've already mentioned that. That is going to be a start in May. I've got a few of them coming up. I'm really excited for that one. And, you know, just to keep on going with that theme, there was a recent Carolyn Manning sale. I know a few of you purchased quite a few of the charts. Who can resist? And they're very reasonably priced anyway. So a sale just makes it that extra sweeter deal for beautiful pieces. I also got stained glass. So that is actually on a darker fabric. I'll put a pic up here. And I've decided I'm going to start that as well. So I went out and tried to source some charcoal fabric. Now we know I like them on Aida. This was actually harder than it appeared. If anyone else has tried to source charcoal Aida, it's harder than it looks. Anyway, I tracked some down. 20 count is on its way. So I'm going to start that as well. So then while I was on the sort of, ooh, Carolyn Manning, you know, carrot cake's getting lots of love. I'm really enjoying all of it. I thought, I've got this piece, Carnival. And I started it as a stitch along with Stitcher Aussie M and Jabbery Threads, 2 Aussie stitches. I am so sorry, I have made no progress. This is why. I started it on a 25 or maybe even a 28 count, 1/1. I've decided that's not my thing for Carolyn Mannings. I like them big and plush and dense with 2 threads. So I can make progress on this piece, I'm going to restart it. And in fact, I'll show you the fabric that I'm going to restart it on because I have it here. It's this. And I found it in my stash because I'd already clearly had started something else on it at some point. Let's not go there, I don't even know what that is. And it will work. There'll be a big enough border still, if not, take that out. So, perfect. I'm going to restart Carnival on this Aida. It's actually really lovely. Oh, and then I had the Aida that I'm going to start Grandma's Lilacs on here as well. They're both 18 counts. So, throw in a charcoal grey 20 count for stained glass. And it's going to be really fun. In combination with that, I really want to make some pretty heavy progress on my other Carolyn Mannings, including my carrot cake, because I feel I'm really just would love to see a finish on one soon. So there's going to be a lot of Carolyn Manning progress taking shape this month, which takes me into the end of the month. I'm off to the Big Stitches retreat and I'm so excited. We're finally nearly there. It's been, I feel, months and months and months since I booked this. It's my first retreat. I think I'll take some Carolyn Mannings. Carnival's got to go because Emily's going to be there and I'm really excited. So I've been giving some thought as to what pieces I'm going to take along to the retreat. If any of you have any suggestions of what to take, bearing in mind it's my first retreat, it's on the smaller end compared to some of the bigger ones overseas. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. I'm pretty new to all of this, but really excited to get into it. Just checking my notes. Okay, so Alyssa at eCraft in Colorado, I've already mentioned you've been enabling me, and I was watching your Flosstube and you started something by 2x2 stitch art over on Etsy. And I've actually looked at that site a number of times and thought, oh, yes, they're big. A lot of those pieces are big. And then I saw you starting one, and despite me not being ready to start on the date that it was intended, there is a sale on Instagram, 2x2 on 22 sale. So this is why I shouldn't watch Flosstube late at night. Was watching you, went, oh, I love that. Literally purchased this chart, which I really, really like. I've been looking for one of those sort of negative space monochrome art pieces for some time, and this one just caught my eye immediately, and so I'm jumping on board. And in that 20 count charcoal purchase, I also have some 25 count navy coming along, and I'm really looking forward to receiving those fabrics. So that will also be a start in May. Thank you, Alyssa. It's going to be wonderful. I'm not too sure. I'm with you. Probably don't be in a hurry to see a lot of progress because I have so many whips that I want to work on. On the topic of new starts, my friend Barb is headed to Disney next month, and I thought that would be a wonderful occasion to start a Disney piece that I have. And a couple of months ago now, I love sourcing secondhand cross-stitch stuff from all over, and I managed to get my hands on a whole bundle of the Thomas Kincaid Disney kits. I'm fairly certain, 99.9% they're all genuine, and there's one in particular that I would like to start, and I have had my eye on starting for some time, but have not really had an occasion, and I thought, Barb, going to Disney, that's perfect. And you know, I'm just all down with starting things at the moment, so why not start another piece in May? I've already taken it out. I've actually unwrapped this one. The other ones that I did get are mainly fully still in their packaging. They're beautiful. I'll have to show you them one day, but this is the one that I've chosen to start, and it's the Lion King. So here is the cover. Alicia at Adventures of Stitching is also stitching one of these, and you know, I know there's lots over Instagram that are, so I'm going to join the Thomas Kincaid Disney gang. And I actually have the threads here, and this has so many blends of the sparkly filament, chronic sort of blends, but look at those. Oh, I don't want to get them too tangled. Look at those colors. Aren't they just absolutely glorious? Woo! So that's another one. The kit, I'm going to use the kit Ada, which is an 18 count cream, and it actually feels really soft. I'll have to hem it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that start as well. So any reason for a start? Thank you, Barb. Okay, where are we? On that note, with starts and purchases, I decided to jump on board the CXC bandwagon, and I'm going to try them out. And I recently watched Lucky Chance Stitcher, and she really reviewed them like so thoroughly, and I was grateful for hearing her thoughts on the CXC threads. So I've gone for it, and I'm looking forward to them arriving sometime in May, so that will be really exciting. And I'm thinking I will probably use them to kit up one big full coverage piece to start with and see how I like them. I don't have a piece in mind yet, so I'm sort of keeping my eye out at this stage, but I'm really looking forward to receiving them. Paula, my friend at Contemporary Cross over there, she also raves about the quality and loves using them. I've heard so many stitchers on Instagram raving about, you know, not only the price but the quality and all of the other benefits to making those big bulk purchases, and I look forward to receiving them and letting you know what I think. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about that one, and I hope it just sort of, it's going to be one of those ones that just shows up on my doorstep at any point, and I'm just going to be, that excitement actually lends me to shouting out Catherine at Needleberry Stitcher, because I was watching her video. I love your videos, and she, when I was just doing this, she did the funniest thing where, if you can picture, you know how celebrities have lots of money and they're sort of like, are on a bed or in a bath and they've got all their money everywhere. She was like, imagine if that was thread, and you were just like, oh. And so I'm like, I'm with you, Catherine. I could absolutely do that. would be amazing. I don't even know. I don't know how I got onto this topic, but I think the whole big bundle of CXC just appearing one day on my doorstep just sort of took me to that vision of you doing that on your Flosstube. I digress. Okay. Lucky last thing that I would like to let you know about is I will have been on Flosstube for 6 months in May, and I've decided I'm going to do a whip parade every 6 months. And so I went and I checked all my stats. Well, actually, I asked Dylan to check all my stats because he takes care of my stats, and it appears there's only one piece that I have not worked on since my first Flosstube, which was a whip parade, and that is Pandemic, my long dog sampler. Stitching it with my mum, who's already finished. So I'm also going to pull that out and give it some love this month, because I would really love to show you all of my whips with confidence, knowing that I have touched them all by the time I get to that. So sometime in May, I don't know when, but I'm certainly turning my mind to organizing it, and you know, sort of, I think it'll be a chronological presentation, if you like. I need to keep these things structured because my whips are now pretty large in numbers, so I'm really excited about that. That'll be coming. Plus a May update with all of the things that I've just mentioned to you, which was a lot, and if you're still here, thank you. I guess before I finish up, a little on my personal front. So it has been school holidays. There was a few days there where I didn't stitch at all. We went camping. I'll actually post a photo here of the location where we're at. We're in the Tara Valley here in Victoria. It's a temperament rainforest, and we took some caravans down there with tents with the kids, and we had no reception, and we just roughed it. We had fires and toasted marshmallows and did all the things. It was fantastic. School's now gone back, so a little bit more routine. Everyone's sort of, having to get up a bit earlier in the mornings. So yeah, term 2 here in Australia, and that'll kick off for a few months now. I think we've got a longer term, which will be about 12 weeks before school holidays again in the middle of winter. So at the moment the weather is holding out here. It's still quite nice, but it will get colder as the rest of the world gets warmer. The other thing that is exciting is I actually got a new promotion at work, and it is going to entail longer hours moving forward, which I am super excited about. Not the longer hours, but the opportunity. And at this stage, I don't know how it's going to fall into my stitching routine, but I mean, stitching's a big part of my life, and the beautiful balance about my work is that the stitching helps me to just, so it has to continue. It's just going to be a matter of rejigging my routine a little. And the girls and I are both, we're all a little super excited, but a little unsure about what that means moving forward. So we're prepared. We're prepared for a few changes around here. So I'll keep you updated there as well, but I'm really, really excited with the opportunity and getting stuck into my career a little more at this point in my life. Yeah, just thought I'd mention that stitches might fall off a little in the near future for a bit. I hope you have all been keeping well and stitching away feverishly. I love keeping updated with you over there on Instagram. I'm really excited for what May brings with my stitching goals, and I hope to catch up on a lot of Flosstube that I have neglected a little, I must say, in the past few weeks with school holidays. So looking forward to catching up on where you're all at. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, like, comment, ring the bell. I value every single effort and a bit of your time. There's so many wonderful Flosstubers, and for you to be stopping here and watching me, I feel very, very, just very grateful. So thank you. Happy stitching, everybody, and I hope to see you all again very soon.